Welcome to the Chew on This podcast. Join your host, Dr. Katie Chew, and her guests as they chew on what matters, one story at a time.
So welcome to another episode of Chew on This podcast, where we are going to be chewing on what really matters, one story at a time. And I'm your host, Katie Chew. So today I have my wonderful friend, Kathy Cruz. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Katie. Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor.
Well, okay. So I know that when you came in, you were carrying an umbrella, right?
Yes.
So we live in Los Angeles, and these last maybe
4 days. Yes.
It's been pouring. And so for us Californians, we can't handle even when there's a little bit of rain. But
even sprinkles.
But this time it was pouring.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain this weekend since Thursday evening. A lot of rain. We need it. Definitely needed in Southern California, but a lot of rain.
But definitely, I know the other day was Saturday. I did not feel safe driving on the freeway going back home, and it was already dark.
Yes.
And some of these freeways in LA, if anyone's hearing in Caltrans, if you can make our what do you call it, the markers and the reflectors
a little bit more visible.
Yeah, but it was nighttime. It was raining, and I didn't know which lane I was supposed to be in because it wasn't catching the reflectors. There wasn't enough.
We're just not used to this here in Southern California to have a little bit of rain. As much as we need it, we don't know how to act. We don't know how to drive. We don't know how to do anything.
Yeah, so I ended up pulling off the freeway and then reset the GPS to take me home on surface streets.
Surface streets,
I just wanted to get home safely.
Yeah.
And so that's what you have to do.
Right.
But for those who don't know much about you, do you want to share a little bit of what you do?
Sure. Yeah. I'm Kathy Cruz, born and raised in Southern California. I am the region manager for Silhouette Optical. I've been with Silhouette 3 years. I've been in the optical industry over 25 years. So just enjoy this world that we live in. And I'm also a mom. I'm to 3 adult children. I have 7 beautiful grandkids, and I'm married. I'm my wife, and I born and raised. All my family lives within 5 miles from me, which people say, "Oh my gosh, that is so strange." But we all live in La Mirada or La Habra, Whittier area, and a little bit of love. My husband and I enjoy going camping, so we're getting ready for next week for Thanksgiving to spend the week camping with the kids and the grandkids, and just enjoy life, trying to make the best of what we can each and every day, rain or no rain.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say is I miss camping. I went on my very first camping trip when I was probably about 7 years old, and it was to Mammoth.
Oh.
And I had an uncle that took us, and I just remember doing fresh, I guess, river or stream fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would catch rainbow trouts and things like that. And we literally didn't shower. It was
you tent camped it.
Yes, we did. And so it would be like 5 days of like no showering or anything like that. But it was so much fun. And then, of course, when I was raising my daughters, we did a lot of camping. But now that they're young adults, and I don't have grandkids yet, so I'm kind of jealous of you. Yeah, I miss camping because I when you don't have little kids.
Well, we did it years ago when my kids were growing up, and then we stopped because life happens.
Yes.
They're playing sports and they're doing this, and so we didn't have the time, and we tent camped. And then about 12 years ago, I told my husband, if we're doing this, I'm buying a trailer. I'm not doing it.
So you have a trailer now?
So we have a travel trailer,
Nice.
and what's really nice is now my kids have the kids and the grandkids, and we all go. So a group of us, there's around 19 rigs that are going next week, and it's their friends and their friends' parents and all the kids, and we just spend a week of doing nothing, and enjoy it. And but we're now coming into, it's kind of comical because next year my oldest granddaughter will be in high school. Well, that changes schedule because the week that they think that we're going to be off for Thanksgiving, because she plays soccer. Well, soccer season starts the week of Thanksgiving. So now my son, so we may either have to move and adjust, which, life happens, you got to pivot.
Yeah.
And so right now we go out to Lake Elsinore, and we may have to do something a little bit closer, and we pivot when things happen. We just have to learn to pivot, and that's life happens.
And you guys go rain or shine, right?
Rain or
yes,
shine.
I've done.
We
where it
have
was
been,
pouring.
this
yes.
is probably 7 years ago, where I had to go leave the campground to go to a Target to get all the grandkids another jacket because their jackets were because that doesn't stop them. They're just
they love it. They love
running amok
They
and
love
running, and every puddle they see, they could splash. And it really, what I love about it also, it makes, at least made me kind of go back to the childhood, right? Go out there with the kids, and they're like, Nana, put the rain boots on, and we're running, and I'm coming in and we're soaked, and it's just the memories,
of course,
that you make doing that. And so we've been watching the weather for next week, and it looks like it's going to be high 60s, no rain.
Good.
Which we're happy.
Good.
Yes.
So, all right. So we're going to make some memories today.
Awesome.
Kathy.
Can't wait.
And this is what we're going to be doing. For those who have not joined on any of my episodes before, we do a little game called Hard Chews and Soft Chews. And it's a little bit of a play off of my name, but it's kind of like having those hard toffee candies where it's a little bit harder to chew. These are the questions that are going to be a little bit more thought-provoking, a little bit deeper. And the questions that Kathy is holding, the soft chews, are going to be the fun, light ones, and maybe, get us to giggle a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Hopefully. It's just because the last few episodes that we had, some of the soft chews felt hard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
and I wasn't prepared, so I don't know what's coming out of this envelope.
Well, neither do I, because these questions are generated by my staff, and then they go ahead and cut them up and then put them in the bag. So I have no idea.
Okay.
So since you're my guest, I'm going to have you pull first out of the soft chews. We're going to make it a little bit easier.
We're going to start with the soft chews.
Yes.
Okay.
And I did tell my staff to print them a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Because the first few, they were very tiny, and I was barely reading them.
Oh, wow. So mine is, if your life were a movie, which sometimes I feel like it is, what kind of scene would you say you're in right now?
What kind of scene?
What kind of scene would you say you're in right now? So the beginning, a plot twist, rebuilding, joy phase, discovery, etc. Oh boy.
Do you know?
I was in a movie.
What kind of scene?
I would have to say, and I'm going to go with my favorite movie.
Okay.
I'm going to go with my favorite movie, which is Dirty Dancing.
Okay.
And there seem to be so many plot twists.
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
Can
my
you believe
gosh.
it? It's such an iconic movie, and I haven't.
And there just seems to be so many plot twists, right?
Yeah.
You think you're going down. It's all about this family retreat place where families go to vacation, and there's love in it, and then there's drama in it. And so I kind of would have to say it would be a scene from Dirty Dancing where life happens, right? You're going through and you're on this path, whether it's work-wise or personal or just life in general, and there's something that's going to be a plot twist. So I would have to say over time, I've just learned to pivot. And if I pivot, it makes it where I'm not as stressed. So I'm going to have to say it would be a scene where I'm trying to manage work, life, home, dealing with elder parents, with my parents. So I would have to say. So
this is a very active scene.
Right. So it's a really active scene because it goes to so many parts.
Yeah.
And in Dirty Dancing, that's what happens. There is an active scene where one of the gals gets in, that the main characters needs her dad for something, and then the dad finds out it's really what he thought was going on isn't going on. So I'd have to say a scene from Dirty Dancing where you could have a plot twist anytime.
All right. So I don't even know what. Can I see that?
Sure.
Real quick, just so that. All right. If your life were a movie, what kind of scene would you say you're in right now? Right now. Well, it's kind of funny because I know what kind of scene I would like to be in, but right now, you know what? This doesn't necessarily parallel my life, but it is something where I would like to be in, and my daughters know this. My staff knows this. If any of you watch Netflix Squid Game, I actually had applied to, I started my application to be a participant in the second, Squid Game live. And so, yeah, I would love to be in one of those kind of reality adventure type of, because I am kind of a thrill seeker, believe it or not. Yeah.
So you would create your own scene within that.
Yeah, I would like challenges and then kind of like, game playing strategically. But I think the best part is that, if you watch some of these, like Squid Game, you think it's an individual type of contest. It is, but at the same time, it's like, you do have to also like work as a team. And there's so much strategy to it. And I think that's just the part that I kind of would love to be, engaged in. And so, so I told my staff, I might apply for the third one.
So believe it or not, I've never seen Squid Game.
Oh, so maybe
so now I have to check it out.
You can watch Squid Game and then I'll watch Dirty Dancing. So,
okay.
All righty. Okay, hard shoe. We're going to go ahead and pick one. Here we go. All right, Kathy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What boundary changed everything for you once you finally set it? What boundary changed everything for you once you finally set it? I know this one.
I do too.
Okay.
I have to think about it though.
Do you want me to go first?
Go first because I need to wrap my thoughts around it.
No
but
worries.
I know I've had a few boundaries I've had to set, so I have to think which one really.
Yeah, this one. I mean, I know what you mean because there are boundaries always kind of not shift, but like since life is changing, we always need to kind of reset new boundaries if they need to be reset.
Right.
And but this one, somebody else taught me this, and it doesn't matter how old your children are. You always need to set that boundary where you will be the parent. Because there was this period of my life where as soon as my daughters became adults, I kind of didn't know any better, but I would overshare.
Interesting.
And so, so I'm going to say it. It was my therapist. She told me, she said, Katie, no. Whether your daughters are going to be 50 years old and you're 78 or 80 years old, you still need to keep that boundary of child and parent. And she said it's because, you end up, if you overshare, you're going to end up parentalizing them. And that's an unnecessary type of burden or responsibility to put on your child. And so she always said, whenever you want to share it with your girlfriends. All those details and things like that, your children don't need to know them, even if they're adults.
I agree.
And so, and after she told me that, wow, it really did change things between my daughters and I. And so I was so thankful that I learned that from her.
Well, and can I piggyback on yours before I go?
Of course.
I always have said, I don't ever want my kids to say I'm their best friend. Or nor will they ever hear me say that my kids are my best friend, because I think that kind of goes on to, because if you treat your children as your friends, it changes that dynamic. And I believe that is a really good boundary, because I've always said, even my own mother is not my friend, right? And so I think if you do, and I know so many that have said that their daughter, or they're mostly mothers and daughters or what have you, but that is, I would agree with that boundary. I think you have to keep that separate and still be their parents, because you don't, it's always difficult. It is because difficult. We find that they're at that adult age that you can share, but it's better off not, because I wouldn't want them sharing things with me. I always tell them, don't share things with me. Like, I don't want my daughter complaining to me about my son-in-law, her husband, because then I'm going to have that opinion about my son-in-law. Right.
Yes, it
And
works both ways.
It works both ways because you're going to be jaded. You're going to feel like, well, wait a minute, And so I agree. I love that one.
Yeah.
For me, I've had to set a boundary, and this was a difficult one for me. Most recently, I've set a few, as we've talked about, but it's been with my mom. My mom had a stroke 2 years ago, and thankfully, she's done great. But my mom, I started to begin to be my mom's punching bag, along with my dad. And my dad and I were, and I'm the oldest. And so I struggled for almost a year and a half. After she had it 2 years ago, it'll be Christmas Day, it'll be 2 years, in the fact that I had to protect myself from the fact that it wasn't my mom. I mean, it was my mom, but I felt like she was being just very, very, no matter what I could say or do, it was never right.
Or good enough.
It was never good enough. And it was always, you're just like your father. And I've heard that for my whole life. And I'd be like, that's okay. I'm fine being like my dad. But what I had to do, and I always share, because I've done a fireside chat from the Optical Women's Association on setting boundaries. And people say, well, why do you need to set a boundary? What is it? I said, you're not setting a boundary against that person. You're setting a boundary for yourself. And so with my mom, I had to stop the phone calls every day, which I used to call her, because I found like I was doing it out of kind of obligation. And it was just, or go visit them. And I used to go visit them once a week, but I always left there with us battling. My mom and I battling, and then
probably guilt. Was there
some guilt?
Well,
it was guilt and frustration and so many emotions. And my dad, what I respected too, is my dad never got involved, but I also had siblings get involved, because then my mother would complain to them, and I finally had to say, I can't. So I set my boundaries on, even on a phone call. If it starts to go south, I say, I've got to go. Got another meeting or what have you, or when I go visit them, if I see that it's going south, and this was to protect my emotions, so I wasn't leaving there frustrated, angry, every emotion imaginable. And so that probably is the most powerful one for me, but it was also the most difficult.
I can see why, because it was probably going on
it's been going on my whole life. Right. And I felt like I was, and I always laugh when you see a post somewhere like, oh, I'm 40-some years old and I've got to let my parents know where I'm at. I've done the same thing, which doesn't matter. I mean, I still do, but now it would be like, I now do it to my dad, or I call my dad and let my dad know, okay, I'm here. And not that I didn't owe them an explanation. I just felt like, hey, if anybody needs to know, this is where I'm at. But I had to do it for my own mental health, for my own peace of mind, because it was, in the last 2 years, it's been hell. I mean, hell.
So it's very recent.
It's raw as rocking me. That's why I was like, okay, I got it. And I'm very comfortable with the decision I made. And I think that's where, like you said, with your daughters and for myself, I had to do it. And to be honest, Katie, it's almost like I've mourned, in a way, what I don't have to deal with anymore. I mean, I had to deal with that for so long, and I'm like, I am a grown adult. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I have kids, I have grandkids, I manage a team. I don't have to explain anything to anybody.
Yeah.
And I felt like my mom was always asking, well, why are you doing this with the grandkids? And why are you doing that? And I'm like, I would fall prey to it. Well, this is, and I'm like, no. So with this, I had to finally just say, nope, I'm done. And I'm really good with it. I am.
Well, I can hear it in your voice too. Like it's almost like a conviction. Like you're convicted to like knowing that this is how you want it to be, and you're practicing it, and you're holding to it.
I had to. And my whole life, being the oldest of 5 siblings, I felt like I had to care for everybody, or 4 siblings. There's 5 of us. Care for everybody, and so. But I was like, no. The kind of like the boundary with my mom also set the boundary with my family.
Yeah.
my siblings and their family, because I'm like, I have my own family. I have my own, not that I don't want them part of it, but I'm not accommodating anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Which I've done my whole life.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's being the oldest.
Partially.
Right.
Or
and I felt like I had to take care of everybody, but
Yeah.
I've always been very independent. And my
Yeah.
mom has said to me, I wish I would have never allowed you to be so independent. And I'm like, I don't know that you could have stopped me.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a tough one, but it was one that I needed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said so many, and I think like you have, we've all had to, as you in life. And I think when we first hear it, we think, oh my God, that's going to hurt somebody's feelings, or no.
But see, that's just it. I think you're naturally a giver, right? So you've always been giving to your mom, right? And at some point in our lives, as we, you know, I don't know, I think when we become more experienced with life, that we realize that we can't just keep giving and then we're being drained, right? And that it does need to be reciprocated by that other party.
It does.
And it's okay to say no. Right? When we're
more than we can ever.
Yeah. So I've been practicing more no's.
Right. And it's, if I, you know, like I said, we were going camping next week. When I first started, when we started going, my mother was so upset. Oh, so you'd rather go camping with your kids and their friends? No, I'd rather go camping with my kids and my grandkids. You know, and finally I was just like this year anyways, it's supposed to be every other year, and this is a year again that we should have been with my family, but we haven't done it in 10 years. And and my mom started with my daughter, which I didn't like, is this might be my last.
So it's kind of like holding a little bit of
trying to put the guilt in.
Yeah, it is guilt.
And yesterday we were all together as a family, as a pre-celebration. And I was telling one of my brothers about it, and he goes, might be all of our last. We don't know what tomorrow gives. I go, thank you.
So basically, she didn't want you guys to go camping and
she
to be
felt,
around locally.
She felt like if this was going to be her last Thanksgiving, then we all needed to be there. But we have not been there because we do it every other year. So everyone has their families. Yeah. And we stopped doing it. This is our 10th year camping. So this means this is our fifth Thanksgiving that we're not together. Yeah. And I think she thought we'd come home for it. Yeah. And part of me was started to. And I went, no, I'm not. I'm not going to fall prey to that because in a way it's a manipulation.
It is. That's the undertone, but I didn't want to call it.
Right.
I was waiting
but
for
it is a manipulation. And what I didn't like is that she did it to my daughter.
Yeah.
And
was she able to see it?
My daughter said, we haven't been for 10 years. And she says, we were talking about it yesterday, a few of us, and she said, we're going camping. Yeah. You know, and that is why we planned a family gathering yesterday. And we said, who can come? Come. It wasn't Thanksgiving, right? We just said before all the holiday hustle and bustle, we're going to get together. And believe it or not, we have 40 of us in our family, and we were missing 2, one sister and a brother-in-law, and that was it. Everybody else was there. All the grandkids, the great-grandkids, and we did the best we could, and that's what we do in life.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay.
That's
the heart. So
that was our. So I got a soft. Okay. What's your go-to comfort ritual after a long day?
Oh, I already know that one.
Oh my. I'd have to say for me, I do like to go for a walk. After a long day, and it's just, especially depending on the kind of day, because some long days could be a whole day in the soccer field watching the grandkids play. I like to go for a walk, but I also have a guilty pleasure of playing, and I'm going to say it's a stupid game because they get you hooked on my iPad, and it's matching 3 things, because somebody I saw a post one day said that it helps with your mental capacity. So I've been doing this game, but some days I find that I've been sitting there for 2 or 3 hours playing this game. Oh my goodness. So I'm like, okay, I've stopped that. I don't do the game, but I like to read, but I like to clean. If it's been a long day and I've been doing this and I just find myself wanting to organize something at home, or just, so it depends on the day of the week and what I've got going. Yeah. But those are a walk, or just to get out of the house. Yeah. We have a park nearby that's got a creek, and I just like to go for a walk. I would tell my husband, let's go for a walk, and we'll just take off. And he's like, if he doesn't want to go, I'll go. But that would probably be my
Go-to?
My go-to is just to release, just to get out in the fresh air and just release.
All right, so don't laugh on this one, because this is an easy one for me.
Okay.
Everyone in my family knows this. So my go-to, if I had a rough day, long day, travel day, whatever day, speaking day, and then I go back to a hotel room
Right.
after a speaking engagement, whatever it is, a long day. My go-to is, and it doesn't matter what time it could be 11 o'clock at night or midnight, I will make myself a package of ramen noodles.
That's your go-to. Okay.
That is my go-to ritual. It will just
calm you.
Calm me. My stomach feels nice and warm, you know what I mean? And happy.
Yeah.
And then not very healthy, right? Because a lot of sodium. But yeah.
All in moderation.
It's my comfort food.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would have to say mine is more to get out in the fresh air. I don't know because I'm in my office, especially if I'm in my office or I go to a hotel with a rep, I want to just do almost like mindless.
Yeah.
Just do nothing. So yours is ramen. I like that.
Yeah.
Although last night I did get out of bed. It was like 9:30 and I was like, I am not ready to go to. I got up and I went and had a half of an ice cream sandwich. See, you never know. And it was a long day yesterday.
Yes. So for me, it needs to be soupy.
Okay.
And more on the savory, salty side. You know what I mean? So like I can see some people like maybe grabbing some chips or something like that. And then mine would be the ramen noodles.
Mine used to be like a popcorn, but
I know a lot of people that do popcorn.
I do like popcorn, but the problem is then I like lots of butter on it. And I'm like, I can't be doing that.
Yeah.
That's
good.
Well,
so I am going to share this. You know, ever since COVID, I've gained quite a bit of some weight. And so, but my weight is coming from the late night ramen feasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because as soon as my tummy is happy, then I just roll into bed and I fall asleep. And, you're holding all those calories and sodium.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't help. But I've been better.
Well, that's good. But we have to fuel us the way we want to be fueled, right?
Yeah. So I guess the way I'm handling it now is I'm trying not to have as many of those stressful days.
There you go.
Right? So if I'm not stressed, I don't feel like I
just
need
have to let it go,
that ritual.
Right? Just kind of, some days just like, okay, let it go.
Exactly. So
okay.
All right. I think we both answered those really
quickly. We did.
Okay.
That was an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat. Let's see.
I'm going to grab a hard shoe. All right. How do you rebuild when life doesn't go according to the plan you imagined? This is kind of tough. How do you rebuild when life doesn't go according to the plan you imagined? I don't know. Do you know this one?
I have one.
Okay, then you go first.
I have one.
I need to chew on this one. Yeah.
I would say I think sometimes I don't know if it would be a catastrophe, but I could go back. I was divorced. You were divorced, right? Mm-hmm. That's one that you have to rebuild on. But when I was working, and I'll use this one specifically. In December of 2019, I was laid off after 19 years of working 2 companies, and I was not surprised. The timing was the worst, December 4th, right? And
companies seem to do that.
Oh,
it's always
I know.
Around the holidays, right?
And I won't even mention the companies, but I will say it was the best thing that happened to me, because I took the time, because I had spent so much time in those years of giving of myself to the company. However, I have no regrets with my kids, because I still did what I needed to do with the kids. Mm-hmm. But I spent, weekends. If I was on vacation, I would still work. And there was things that I gave so much of myself that I didn't take care of me. Mm. And so when that happened, I had several people reach out to me in the industry like, oh, what about this? What about that? Can we do this and do that? And I'm like, I need to just reset. I need to really figure out what I'm going to do. And at that time, my daughter-in-law was going back for a master's degree, and she was going to start her student teaching in January, and she needed help with one of her daughters for school. And I had told her about 2 weeks prior to this, everything works out the way it's supposed to. I can help Mondays and Fridays. We could do this. And then my daughter was pregnant, due to have a baby in December, and she was going to work on her internship for her master's. And I said, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. We'll all figure it out.
Yeah.
December 4th, it happens. So I remember calling my daughter and daughter-in-law. We got on FaceTime, and I said, I just want you guys to know. And my daughter-in-law goes, I don't want to say that I'm happy, but this really makes me feel better to come into January. And I said, it'll all work out.
Yeah, that's the silver lining.
It was. And I knew everything would be okay, right? And I said, I'll help with the kids. I'll help whatever we can do. Well, that's January I start, or December. My daughter had her baby early. So right after school went back in December or January, I'm now picking up one. I now have a newborn that I'm helping with. And little do we know that March 2020, COVID hits.
Oh, yeah.
So
this was in 2019.
This was in 2019 that I got laid off,
yeah.
December. So then COVID hits. And I also had the time to really go, okay, what are we going to do? And I ended up doing Zoom in my house with the grandkids. One's in kindergarten and one's in, I think, in 2nd or 3rd grade. And I've got one doing this. But I also took the time to take care of me mentally. And because before they went back to school and all the hustle and bustle, I started seeing a therapist because I just was all over the board with myself. I was depressed. I was ready to I don't want to be around with my husband. I didn't know what to do. And so I say that gave me a gift to take care of me. And I use that to today.
Oh,
everything.
I love therapy.
I do too.
I love therapy.
And I'll go back to a little bit with my mom. She mocks it. And I'm like, well, that might not work for you, but it worked for me. So it may not work for everybody. For me, it worked.
Yeah.
And so that was a time that I had to rebuild Kathy. And for years, I was Kathy Carson, and everybody in the industry knew me as Kathy Carson because that was my married name, for my first married name. And I kept it because of the kids.
Yeah.
And then when I decided to change it, I told my husband, I'm not taking your name. Are you okay with that? He didn't care, but I just wanted to make sure, right? And I went back to my maiden name. So I went back to Kathy Cruz, which was also an adjustment, right? Because now my kids are hearing and I'm still Mama Carson or Kathy Carson, which is fine, but I wanted to be for me.
Yeah.
Not for anybody else. So I had to rebuild. And it wasn't a career. It was more of a mental,
it's an identity.
I was as Kathy Cruz. Yeah. As me as a person. And I had to, because you've been the wife, the mom, everything else. And I wanted to say, no, this is for you. And so that's what I did in 2020, was to rebuild for myself personally.
Yeah.
Not professionally, because I knew if I didn't do that for me, nothing else was going to work. So that was what I did, was really taking care of myself. And I have shared that on more fireside chats because I just think it's important. And it really isn't to stress the importance of therapy, because I think that is an individual self-awareness, right? Or to basically say it's okay to do it.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's a life tool.
Right. And I still use it to this day. And I think that you have to really reflect on what it is. And so to rebuild for me wasn't about my career. Was I worried? I was worried. I was later in life that I thought, oh boy, what am I going to do? Yeah. How am I going to get a job at this age? But I knew I had to take care of me first. So I rebuilt myself.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking, because it's hard when, I'm going to be next and answer, right? So my wheels are turning, but then, but I'm so I'm listening to you, and it's like, what am I going to say? You know what I mean? And because this rebuilding, it can mean so in different contexts, you know what I'm saying? But I've gone through 2 marriages, and I think I never rebuilt from the first marriage, if that makes sense. Because that first marriage, it was domestic violence, and it was basically survival. So for me to leave that marriage and obtain a restraining order and getting all that into place, and then having my daughters being a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, it was survival. So I think all these years that have passed by, I was in mommy mode.
You have to go into a different mode.
Mommy
exactly.
mode to raise my daughters. And so the rebuilding, I would say, came probably these last 2 years. And once I aligned myself with my purpose, that everything became so clear. And it's that clarity that is driving me with the most energy that I've ever had before. And trust me, I've always had energy. You know, I'm a late owl and an early riser. I'm both, right? So that yeah. And people always go, you know, it's like, when do you ever sleep or when do you ever stop? And that's just how I am. That's how I'm built. You know, but yeah, I think these last 2.5 years, my rebuilding came from an alignment of seeing things more clearly by being more in touch with my faith. And, you know, I most of my relatives growing up, you know, my grandmother, she was Buddhist. Most of my relatives were also Buddhists. You know, I had an uncle and aunt that were Catholic. But, you know, just we had a neighbor who asked my parents if they can take me and my younger brothers to church with them. And so this was when I was probably like 6 years old or 7 years old. So very young. And the neighbor took us to their church, and it was a Baptist church. And so that was my first exposure. But, you know, once we moved out of that neighborhood and we didn't have that neighbor, I went back to what our family
you knew.
Exactly. And so, but it was, you know, my daughter finding Christianity during her college or graduate school years. That really, you know, she's the one that kind of brought me back in touch with my faith. And so, but yeah, I think that's the rebuilding, is that I learn now to just, things are never as bad as it seems. And I tell myself that when I get those feelings of being overwhelmed or getting anxiety or whatever, that I always tell myself, those are human emotions, right? And that if I just lean on my faith, that, you know, God has a purpose of putting these trials in front of me, that it just changes things. Because once I know that these quote unquote hardships are put in place for a reason, it changes everything. And then I end up doubling down more as to my purpose. Right. And then I tackle each one with so much strength now that it's like, you know, boom, you know,
bring it on.
No, exactly. And so I think that's where the new version of me is, this rebuilt version of me, but it is coming from a stronger foundation of my faith, and knowing that, because I think some of it was coming from my childhood of just not trusting anyone. I didn't feel like I had role models. To lean on and to be able to, you know, not feel abandoned and all these other, you know, therapy words or whatever you call it. But yeah, I know that I have my faith to count on.
Well, and I think that, like, you know, I have a book every morning that I read, and it's got a passage, you know, a little scripture reading, and I read it for a while, and then I stopped reading it, and then I've had recently a situation come up, and I started reading it, and it's been with work, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is meant to happen. And it's like you say, it is something that they happen, and everything happens for a reason, right? I think we've all grown up here. But
Yeah.
what you said more so, Katie, is the clarity.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have clarity on
mm-hmm.
why we're rebuilding, no matter what it is,
mm-hmm.
then it's never going to be clear.
Exactly. And it's that clarity that gives me the strength.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think you follow me on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using a lot of the word bold,
Mm-hmm.
and boldness or making bold moves. That is coming from that confidence,
mm-hmm.
right? And
mm-hmm.
that strength of clarity.
Right. Well, and that's like even with what my participation in the OWA, right? A lot of the things that I do there drives my purpose, similar to what you do.
Can you tell
right?
our followers in
about
terms of OWA?
So our OWA is the Optical Women's Association, and what I love about this organization is we are all brought together from the optical industry by every facet, whether an optometrist or an optician, a sales manager, ophthalmologist. Mm-hmm. We are all a group of ladies brought together with a common bond of our optical industry. And the group that I'm with, on the committee that I'm with, is Work Connection and Enrichment. And what we do is we connect and enrich our members. And we try to continue with enriching mainly more personally than
mm-hmm.
professionally. Right? Because I think where I go back to is if we're good personally, then professionally we could be really good, right? And it's that balance. So we try to, some of the things that I facilitate that I've mentioned before is our fireside chat, and we bring in different topics.
And that big one that I just went to.
And our big one is our Optical OWA Unplugged, which is a retreat. We just had our 3rd year, where we unplug. Katie got in trouble because she had her cell phone out because
I did show up late.
She showed up late, so she didn't know the rules when she got there.
The rules were read, but I had an excuse.
You did, and it was she had a valid reason of being late that she had a funeral to go to. But when we first did our 1st year, and it was unplugged, and people did not know what to expect, and no cell phones. We have a photographer. We capture the moments, but we really want the weekend to be about unplugging. We all live by our devices. We all have our jobs to do and so that really drives me that weekend. And we try to create a weekend where we bond with ladies in our industry, but we don't talk work. Right? Do some of us have one-off conversations of what do you do and where do you work and that's going to happen. That's a natural thing, but that is what drives me and fuels me within the Optical Women's Association. Mm-hmm. And this is why I put so much time and energy into it, is because I believe that we all have so much to offer ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that if we are good personally, then professionally, I believe we can conquer almost anything we set out to do. And so being part of that has really what fuels. And it also, and I just shared this story with somebody the other day, it also keeps me in check. It keeps me in check to stay true to what some of the things that maybe I'm feeling frustrated, or you're going, oh, I just wish this didn't happen today, or why is this going through? But it keeps me in check on, I'm sharing and creating, whether it's a fireside chat or an unplugged retreat that takes people out of their comfort zone, or making people think about, kind of like our questions.
Yeah.
You're having to think about things. And recently we had one on having tough conversations. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting ready to lead this fireside chat to a group of which we had, I think, 75 registrants. And I needed to have a hard conversation with my boss, and I hadn't done it. And I'm like, well, how can I get on and talk to these ladies? And I haven't done it. And it forced me to do it. And so it keeps me
in check. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I started getting a little bit teary-eyed as you were talking, because as you were talking about the retreat, that, Kathy, I'm going to say, that was the first time in my profession that I ever had gone to anything like that. And Words cannot describe this wonderful weekend retreat. A group of like maybe 40 women, and
we wish it was 40. We're trying to get to 40, but we had 31. But it
31.
still
Well,
is.
it was just what a gift. You gave me a gift.
Thank you.
You gave me a gift. It's going to stay with me forever.
It is something that
it's magical.
I
don't know how to describe it.
I don't think people can understand it.
You actually have to be there.
You have to experience it.
You have to experience it.
And our T-shirts. When I first ordered our T-shirts our first year, my cousin does them, her business, and I explained to her what it is. She's like, "What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You can have your competition there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "But we don't talk work."
Yeah.
And she's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And as we just finished our third one, and every year, even though it's 3, it brings such a different element, and it brings the young, the old, and I'd like to share a story with one of the members. I won't mention her name, but she basically gave on the last day, one of the reasons she loved this event was she was ready to retire. Until she said, after that weekend, she said, I found that I still have more to give.
Oh, that's
beautiful. Still have more to give. And so when we do these things for women, right, we it's not anything that we can all talk work, right? We know what work. And we all, and one thing that I have tried over the years is if I go to a trade show or if I see somebody at an event that's a work related, right? Mm-hmm. I always ask people, how's life? How's your kids? How's your family? And I had somebody tell me one day, he goes, Kathy, I always know that you're going to ask me about my boys and myself. I'm like, I don't care about your work. Yeah. Not that I don't care about their work, but we all have a job to do, right? We all have something to do. You have your practice. I manage my team. We have to do what we do, but we all need to have that human touch. And I think we've lost so much of that human touch because so many people just don't take the time.
Well, I'm going to throw a word in, or is it 1 or 2 words? It's a compound word, burnout, right? I think people burn out when they lose sight of the personal side,
right?
Because when I hear burnout, that just means that they've given 100% or maybe over 100% into only one aspect of what they do.
Right.
But if they find that balance of that personal and the professional, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And there's harmony in that mix, then they're not going to be burnt out, right? And as you were talking about that one member that, left saying that, she still has more to give, the word that came into my head as you were saying that was legacy. Mm-hmm. Because to me, legacy is a very active word. Like sometimes when we think of legacy, we think it's like the afterthought.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or after whatever, afterlife.
Right.
Like the legacy that's left
behind. Exactly.
Behind, right? No, it's an active word. We are still creating a legacy. Everything that we do, we say, and then this one member that's going to now not retire. She's a living legacy. She can still have so much more impact in having this, a lot of my imagery on my social media is the ripple effect, and that ripple effect is a visual for me of legacy.
Right.
It's passing on to the next, to the next, to the next.
And I,
right. And
so over the years, and like I said, the third year, everybody has come back and said, oh my gosh, I loved it. But that one just has really, that will forever. And I have a great committee. I don't want to say it's me, but a lot of them give it to me because I'm pretty much the name of Unplugged, and I have a fabulous committee that has worked with me. And you do. I mean, and one of my gals, she and I were at dinner. She's the one that came up with the Unplugged part. But it's that walking away and you go, wow. And I would have to say, every time I come back and I sit and reflect, I'm literally sobbing. Yeah, and I'm literally sobbing because
I started holding back tears here because it touched me.
It's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding because you bring things and you learn things about people and people share. And one struggle, as you said, somebody's struggle, I may go to them and go, oh, for me, that's nothing, and for my struggle may not be your struggle, but we're all dealing with something or have dealt with something. And to know that whether the young ones are there or the older ones are there or whatever it is, we have something to share. And I'm such a
there was so much storytelling.
We need to be there for each other. We need to be, as women in business, whatever it is, we need to be there because we don't know what somebody else is going through. And that's why I do what I do for the Optical Women's Association and I keep driving it and keep doing. And do I start stressing out when I'm like, okay, here we got year 4, but it gives me so much.
But this is your legacy.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It is your
thank
legacy.
You. Right.
Kathy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And, the other thing I was going to say is, in so many of those moments, it was women were sharing their stories, celebratory stories, and some of the stories were sharing vulnerability, or vulnerabilities, plural. Yes. And I think what happens is that when you're in a safe space to share joys and, moments of where there was maybe despair in their life, it's like what happens is that I think it just recharges everyone. And so when they leave that retreat and they go back to a Monday, right? And, I think they become better leaders. A better leader in every aspect of their life.
Exactly.
A parent is a leader. Being a sibling, you're a leader. Yeah. Does it make sense?
Right.
It's not just being a leader of a team
at
a workplace.
You're a leader in your own role, whatever you do.
Or even leading yourself.
Exactly.
It's so, right. So that's what I mean, that every woman that graduated from the retreat becomes a stronger leader.
Well, it was really true tell because our first year, the group that went said, because we had said we max it at 40. And so we presented to them and said, okay, what do we do? You guys all want to come back, but how do we bring another 40? And all of those ladies said, we pay it forward. We won't come back. And which was, to me, was like, okay, that's great. And then last year we had a couple come back. But this year we had a few because we said, you know what, we're not going to limit it. We'll let people who've attended before come back, and you're meeting with other women, and we're doing.
So I get to go back again.
You can come back again.
And I started getting a little bit nervous here. I'm like, wait,
because you know what? We all have the need and the want, right? And when you have the need, and I say the need when it comes to needing to fuel ourselves. Right? Especially if you've been. So you know what to expect. You do, but you don't know what to expect because we try to change it up.
Well, I know not to bring out my cell phone to take pictures.
No, because we have a photographer. But what we do is, I say it as a need when you want to come back because you may not know exactly what we're going to do because we have changed it up a little bit, but it's that need for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And the want is because you're going to do the combine, right? We always say, do I really need this or do I want it, right? But when I say the need and the want, and this talking about this event is, you get so much out of it.
Oh,
so much out of it. And I'm not saying just from me; it's from what I hear. And when I get the text messages or I get the emails and I get the connections, and I see ladies, on our fireside chats, and I see them on Zoom, and so many have come to me, and I'm probably going to cry, is thank you. I get the thank yous, and so that's what fuels me.
Yeah. I'm going to, just add one more thing, because I can just keep talking about this unplugged retreat. But one of the things is just walking away, and I remember so many other women were saying the same thing. We did it for ourselves. Like, it wasn't job related.
Yes.
It wasn't resume building.
No.
It was not an obligation.
No.
It's like, I'm doing something for myself for the first time. That's we kept
well,
saying
and
that.
that's what
And it
came
was
out
just-
evident on, so many are saying, like, do we remarket it and do we call it a different name? And we're like, everyone's like, no, because then it's going to be
No.
work related and we don't want something. Because as we got back, as you said, Katie, I think leadership can come out in so many ways. It's a leadership weekend, however way you want to be a leader.
Oh, you know who was okay? So I'm going to say when we were doing the poolside line dancing.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I have 2 left feet, right? But I was having the time of my life because I had other women leading me.
Right.
Like, I mean, what I'm saying is
Right.
that was also a very, how should I say it? It's a dance is a dance. And you need somebody to lead you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that was also beautiful.
Even yoga in the morning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
all of that.
Yeah.
It was so symbolic.
Right.
It was
and
very
I even challenged the gal that did our yoga. She was petrified. She'd never done it. And I'm like, you got this, girl. You've got it. And she did I was literally bawling at the end when she read her book. I mean, it's just those things. So
Very
nice. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, I lost track. Is it my turn? Was that a soft chew?
That was let's see. Oh no, this was the comfort. We did that. I think I did. I think I put them back.
All right.
I think it's yours.
Okay. What's one truth you didn't want to face but needed to? What's one truth you didn't want to face but needed to? I might go first on this one. Oh, you have one? Okay, you go. You go.
Me, but I have
You go.
I probably wasn't the friend that I perceived to be. I wasn't. I was, but I wasn't. I spent I don't know when I would say if I would be a backstabber, but I tend to talk too much. And that would have to be my truth, that I wasn't as the friend that I needed to be. And that's why I so many things that make us today would be that truth. It wasn't, and this is years ago. That I probably wasn't the friend that I needed to be. I felt like I was, but if somebody may have said something about a friend, they may have chimed in negatively about that person, I would chime in rather than not say anything.
Staying neutral.
Staying neutral, not say anything.
Yeah.
That would be my truth. That I was always loyal, but maybe I wasn't to the point that I should have been.
What's one truth you didn't want to face but needed to? For me, gosh, this is a tough one though.
And that's the first time I verbalized that.
Yeah.
That I've actually owned. I know in my head.
But to verbalize it, that's a big
this
deal.
was big for me. That is a truth. Yeah. It's my truth.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer it. I have just so much just going in all different directions. So I'm gonna maybe just lean on kind of what you were saying. It's not specifically like any particular situation, but I do believe in the integrity of our words, and that to practice that, to be very mindful about the words that come out of our mouths, that if they don't need to be said, so it's kind of like related, but it's not related, because it could be hurtful. And so I think that's something where we kind of have to learn, by trial and error, and then finding out that sometimes what we say kind of maybe offended somebody or hurt somebody. And then we need to practice okay, I got to change my ways. And so I am very observant now that if I don't need to chime in, I can hear other people doing, but I will just observe and listen.
Right.
As opposed to being an active participant in that type of conversation.
Right.
I might have been like that before, but I'm trying to be better at it.
And that's what I would say. And it wasn't that it was may have looked malicious, but it was more on chiming in if where I didn't need to chime in, or if somebody, I think for me, I was so trusting that everybody
was like you,
was like me, and they'd be
Yes.
confident, they wouldn't say anything, and things that I may have said to some person got back to this person,
Yes.
and it just snowballed. So now I'm like, okay,
Yes.
I really try to.
Because I think at the end of the day, it's like when we know who we are, right? And so, so much of sometimes what we say is kind of coming out of our over caring. But then when we overcare, sometimes, it ends up being maybe a little bit more than what we need.
Right.
And so that's where I feel like, oh, I got to like hold back or pull back or whatever it is.
And I think
I'm
some
getting
people
better.
can kind of bait you. Some people can bait, right? And if they start, and sometimes you fall prey to that bait.
Yeah.
And that is something I really try not to do.
Yeah.
I really try hard not to do that. And just,
Yeah.
let them talk. I'll listen.
Yeah.
Or just walk away if I don't need to really hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So sometimes if I'm caught in a very in a situation where something like that is going on, I actually do run through my head, what would God do?
Yeah.
I do
exactly.
that. It's
right.
really, it's kind of funny, but not funny.
Right.
It's just a really light little thing where, what would God do in this situation? I'm going to walk away.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And
yeah.
so, yeah. All right. How about one more
One
question?
more? One more soft chew?
Yes.
Okay.
And then,
what is a simple pleasure you look forward to every week?
I have a lot of those.
It may not be simple, but
Yeah.
it's simple for me.
Okay.
I look forward to every weekend spending my time on the soccer field or baseball field, watching my grandkids with their sports.
Aww.
That to me is my simple, ultimate every pleasure I have. I even Saturday in the pouring rain, driving down to Newport Beach, pouring rain, I sat there watching a soccer game. Yes, we were in Indonesia, but that is my simple pleasure. I put so much time, I travel so much for work, and I'm gone, and there's some times that I've missed things for the kids at school, and they're busy now, so I don't get to see them as much during the week as they were. And so when I know I'm going to see those kids on the soccer field, and I'm also, the other pleasure I get from all of them is, whose game are you going to this week? If I play at this time and this one plays at this time, who are you going to? So it's also kind of a chess game that I'm like, okay, I got to go here, but that is my pleasure, is really going to watch the grandkids. And
how many grandkids do you have?
I have 7.
7.
Wow. So the 5 oldest all play, and when I get this schedule and go, okay, I've got this one here, and this one there, and this one there. And to me, it's, I mean, Memorial Weekend, I think I went to 14 soccer games between the kids from one school to this park.
Well,
but
isn't it good that everyone's kind of living close by?
Well, they do live close, but they don't all play close by.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
So that is my simple pleasure. It is something that I have. My dad did it with my kids, and he's enjoyed it prior to my mom, but you go in there, and it is something that I just love.
Well, I was a softball mom.
Okay, softball mom.
So both my daughters played softball.
See, and I never did the soccer because my kids didn't play soccer, so I've had to learn a new sport.
Oh, okay.
They played 1 or 2 years, my kids, when they were real little, but I mean, my oldest granddaughter, she's in 8th grade, and she plays at a different level. And I'll share a funny story. So I have a 5-year-old granddaughter, and then I've got the 14-year-old. And so the 5-year-old says to me, so Nana, if I have a game the same time as Hayden has a game, whose game you're going to? And I'm like, well, can Grandpa go to your game?
Wow, she's a smart little 5-year-old.
But I managed to try to navigate to all of them. If they overlap, I really do a good job of it. And I
think they understand.
They do.
Too.
They understand.
When they see you there.
But my grandson has tasked me that he wants me to keep track of how many games I go to in a year.
Really?
But he just told me this about a month ago. So I said, can we start in January and I'll keep track of how many games I go to? He goes, I go, just yours? He goes, no. I want to know how many games you go to. But he did tell me I need a helicopter. He says I need a helicopter because of all the traffic, so I could just get to all the field.
How
So
old is he?
he's going to be 9 in February, so he's 8.
Oh.
But that is my simple pleasure.
That's nice.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking, if it said, what is my simple pleasure on a daily basis? Literally just using a Q-tip in my ear on a daily basis.
On a daily.
That is a simple pleasure. Just putting that Q-tip.
Weekly.
Yeah. But weekly, I was thinking about that. And what do I do that's weekly? I'm going to say, you know, I mean, I should do it every day, but I don't. It does take time, but pampering my feet. I'm not talking about going to like a, you know, mani-pedi. I mean, you know, but at home, like after a shower, like once a week, I'll actually then sit on the rug in my bathroom, right? And then I will actually like put baby oil on my legs and my feet. You know what I mean? Because, you know, as women, when we wear heels or sandals or whatever it is, our heels and our toes, all the skin just gets, I don't know
dry.
It gets dry. And so I'm like, I'm going to make it easier for my manicurist or my pedicurist.
But that's what you paid him for.
No, I know. But you know what I mean?
I get it.
But this is self-care. Because if you think about it, and I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that doesn't do this, but like when I shower, it's like showering is like something I just have to do because I got to get ready for work, right? Or I got to get ready to go somewhere. So I got to shower. I got to shower.
Yeah.
So it's like my feet just gets all the leftovers, like the water, the soap, just the leftovers.
So funny.
Right. Yeah. Right. It doesn't get special attention in my opinion.
Right.
So once a week I do, like after the shower, I will like put baby oil, put lotion, making sure goes through every
I'm pretty
toe.
good about that every time.
See, and I think it's just me maybe.
Yeah. That's one thing I do.
That every day you do it?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
No, I do it once
I have the socks, you know, the moisturizing socks that I do it more in the summer with the socks.
Yeah.
But I do the lotion and everything every day.
No,
I do.
I don't.
You know why? Because the older you get, that you know, you start getting the aging signs, and it's like I have to do that. So I do.
That's what I do. I pay
every
attention
week.
to my feet.
Okay, well that's okay. At least you do that.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. All right. I think we did really good today. I think we did a total of like probably four hard ones and 4 soft ones. And well, thank you, Kathy.
Oh, Katie,
for being here.
Thank you.
Wasn't it fun?
This was
different, isn't it?
Amazing, amazing. And you know, for us only knowing each other and meeting each other a month ago, less than a month ago.
Yeah. Well, no, we were already communicating.
But we communicated,
but
this was fabulous, and I am thrilled and honored to be part of this, and watch you grow with this.
Oh, I know. Thank you. I mean, you know, this whole thing with the podcast, the children's book, and you know, I don't know. I just feel like I'm doing what I taught my daughters to do. I used to tell my kids, you know, the sky's the limit for you. But yet I was holding myself back because of all the stuff that, you know, I put on myself. Like, I can't do that. I can't do this. And now it's like, I can do it. I can do the hard things.
We can do hard things.
We can do the hard things.
We can do hard things.
And so, but thank you. Thank you for, you know, it sounds weird, but, you know, to make it easy for this to happen. I'm because sometimes, you know, when we approach somebody and go, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? Your response was immediately, yes.
Oh,
yes.
I was like honored. I was like, what? And even leaving the house today, my husband's like, good luck. I'm like, I don't even know what to expect, but I'm so excited. Well, this is just, I get to speak and you told me you know, we don't know, you don't know what I'm going to ask you, Kathy. And to me, that's what just kind of keeps in line, Katie, with what we do with the OWA.
Yeah. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? It's being, you know, and I don't want to like overuse it, but when we talk about like our authentic self or authentic voice,
right?
I mean, the whole purpose of starting this Chew on This podcast was there's tons of podcasts out there, right? But I just wanted something that was a little bit different, just, you know, and I wanted to make sure that if we were going to be talking, that it was going to be in person, that I can hold your hand or, you know, look into your eyes and it's a different feeling.
Oh, this
100%,
was amazing.
It's a different feeling. So
relaxing, and it was
good.
chewing on things together.
Yes, yes. And we are going to have dinner.
Yes,
together
we
after
are.
This?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
I just want to say thank you to my followers for joining us on another episode of Chew on This. And as I always say to all of you, remember to embrace life by seeing it clearly, leading boldly, and always live your life purposefully. So have a good day and see you next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.